And so now's the time to take everything, all the strength that you've gotten from doing all of those experiences, and let's get busy, right? There's a revolution happening right now, and it's time for all of us that have been thinking about this work, whether it's been for 2 years, for 5 years, for 20 years, or been riding that bus for 30 years. This is it. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be alive at this time in history. It feels like all the work is for this moment.
Hello world, it's me, Dennis, and today I get a chance to join my two friends, Clay Boykin and Christopher Howell. Clay, we're doing these podcasts together. You are in search of the new compassionate male.
That's right. That's right.
Searching inside yourself, and we happen to have a guest today, Christopher Howell, who is on the same journey as we are.
Well, good morning, Dennis. It's really great to be here with these two faces. Just sitting with you guys kind of lifts me up. So
we are in the end of June with COVID, with Black Lives Matter, with the economic injustice, with so much of the things that are going on, and the importance of you keeping your consciousness about what you're doing and how that works on creating the world from the inside out, and the work that you've done in yoga and breath work and consciousness.
Yeah. So in these times, this isn't the time for that work. That's the time. The time for that work is kind of elitist. You know, we've only been able to even read books about these ideas for a few hundred years. And so now's the time to take everything, all the strength that you've gotten from doing all of those experiences, and let's get busy, right? There's a revolution happening right now, and it's time for all of us that have been thinking about this work, whether it's been for 2 years, for 5 years, for 20 years, or been riding that bus for 30 years. This is it. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be alive at this time in history. It feels like all the work is for this moment.
I feel the same. I feel the same way, and it's so funny, Christopher, is because I will go from my small thinking, you know, all my particular challenges or what I do, and then I will hear you, and I'm reminded of what this opportunity. So thank you for see, that's what he does. That's what right, because you remind me of this is the time of opportunity. This is the time for us to be able to connect and grow and be a part of this that's happening. This truly this revolution in consciousness.
Yes, and you do your regular practice, you do your regular exercise, you do your breathing, you do your meditation, so that just prepares you for your day, right?
Yes.
You go out and you do your thing, and then find yourself some support groups. That's what this group has been great for, is that I get my mojo back, get my love armor shined up, go back out, breathe, practice yoga, slay dragons.
Yep.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking about what I see in myself as, I'm doing my own work and so forth. And then I look up and I see the world is coming apart, and I get this helpless, hopeless feeling. I can't change the world. You know, I can't make an effect out there. I can't. And again and again and again, and we've talked about it on the podcast before. It's the old starfish story. It's the young boy on the beach, and the old man comes up. The little boy's tossing the starfish out one at a time, and the old man says, "Son, you can't make a difference here." And the little boy says, picks up another starfish and tosses it. I said, "I made a difference to that one." And I have to remind myself of that no, I'm not going to change the world, but I can help this piece and this piece. I can show up with my best self, whatever that is. If I'm putting my best self forward, that's the best that I can do. And to show up, and to show up.
I mean, we never know what it takes. What is that, that one snowflake that takes to start the avalanche? Now, it may not have been, it may have taken a long time for that be, but we don't know which one that will be.
Mm.
I want to be there putting my piece on there, doing the things that I am here to do because I want to be a part of when it's because I don't know when. I don't know when, but I know that I know that it's important for me to be engaged and involved. I know I'm we came here from Victoria, Texas, and I remember in 2008, Victoria, Texas is a very conservative town, very right, and I did not want to put my political sign on outside because I was too concerned about how other people would receive me, so that I did not want to show up with who I was. So I would keep my, so I'm learning. I mean, this is so much of a process of being able to show up as I actually am, rather than how I would want you to try to manipulate and perceive you, have you perceive me in a certain way.
Mhm.
And so where are we now?
Let me jump in and share that when George Floyd was murdered, we didn't know about it. It was a Monday night. We were having our men's circle. And at the time that we were having our men's circle, that event was taking place. And the next morning, I woke up to learn about that. And as the day unfolded, I began to, I guess, at some level, be in shock. I couldn't take myself away from the TV, and began to really hit me. Our topic that Monday night was aspirations. What are your aspirations in life? And I thought,
Oh, yes.
my God, what was George's aspirations? And for me, it was obvious that, like Christopher said, this is a defining moment in the world. What do I do? How do I show up? I've got a responsibility to the circle. We can't just go into the circle with another contemplative topic while the world is burning down outside. There's got to be something different happen. And at the same time, we've got to hold the sacredness of that circle. And that prompted me eventually to come around to start a second circle. So we keep our Monday night contemplative circle with all the benefits that men gather from that. But I needed to take a deep dive, and I'm taking a deep dive, and I'm opening it up for other men to go with me because I don't know where I'm going. And it has to do with race. It has to do with white privilege, and I have to tell you that some of the things and some of the books that I'm running across, my initial reaction is so triggering. Well, I'm at a place now where that trigger is a hint. I need to look into that. I need to dig into that. And so that's what we're doing on Wednesday nights. And we're going on that journey together, and that's my next step.
Yeah.
To go, let's learn about that. Let's how am I showing up in the world, and what have I been, with the best of intentions, just blind to?
Yes.
I've been the fish asking what water is.
Yeah.
I, go ahead, Dennis.
Well, I will state that I have been the beneficiary of white privilege. That's the thing that I have really learned to own during this time, was to really to look at all of what I have experienced and been and gotten the benefit of, this of having the skin tones, having been raised around, where around the dinner table English was spoken so that I would be able to hear it and be able to hear hear proper grammar, to be able to have the privilege of world books, so that I would have an opportunity to learn all of the privileges that I had over the course of my time. And certainly I did the hard work. This isn't to diminish some of the work that I did and the work and the learning that I did. It's so important for me to acknowledge that, to acknowledge what that meant, and then to say, how now, what would it look like if I could help to provide others with the same kinds of opportunities that I had?
Mm.
And I think that whole conversation is part of a larger conversation, right? So what's happened so far is that every time there's been, I talked to a friend yesterday, he says, in the Black community, when the stock market crashes, it doesn't matter to us. We ain't panicking, right? Because we're doing our same survival that we were doing yesterday. So the world doesn't really change that much for them, right? So it goes along like that. Ours goes up like this, right? And theirs hasn't, it's really just stayed like that the whole time for at least since 2008. And so and then they are always the last ones that come in with at the tail end of whatever recovery ends up happening. It was a slow recovery after 2008 there toward the end. Black community was the last ones. Riots started happening, right? And hey, pay attention to this. And it was around police brutality. But anyway, it's also a labor movement. Like when this first started happening, I was like, ka-ching, it's time to start making some new decisions about how resources are distributed in this country and in the world. And we got one, I'm going to just step off here for a second. We got one warning on 9/11, right? 911. World Trade Center comes down. World Trade Center, the purpose of the World Trade Center is to make decisions about how all of the Earth's resources are distributed throughout the world. That's what happens there. The Pentagon protects those decisions, right? So even in COVID right now, the corporate world has not stepped up, right? Corporate ought to be paying for testing for everybody, right? I will not go to work for a company that hasn't been tested. Anyway, they're not owning a single bit of responsibility in this process, and not paying any taxes for the enormous cost of hospitalization and all that kind of thing. And then at the same time, making fun of people for, doing the one thing that can reduce cases by 5 times, just so that we don't disturb Wall Street. This is a huge possibility of a movement. And the discussion about supremacy is, let's all be aware of this as we go in and start renegotiating how things happen. We can't make those same kind of decisions with the same kind of beliefs that we have about being masters of the universe. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
No, I want to continue on that soapbox, because it does. This is an important. My wife was talking about this, and I've heard this in other places, is that we're not all in the same boat. We are all in the same storm.
Same storm.
Some people are in rowboats. Some people are in these beautiful protected yachts, but we're all in the same storm, and so we're going to have to figure out how to deal with this storm and to understand. I mean, I guess that's one of the things in the COVID that just keeps bothering me. Every time we talk about the deaths, and we're not talking about the number of cases, because to go through this process, the amount of money that it takes in a private hospital system, what is it going to do to your finances to spend 2 weeks, and what does it do to your body, and the doctors and the medical bills and the things, all of those things. It's a much broader issue than merely the awful issue of the people that die.
Yeah, your body's permanently altered after that. It's permanently corrupted after you if you've been hospitalized for it, right? That's not going to go away. Man, I did want to go back to your early question about what is going on. I do see the exciting part about what is going on is that there are conversations like this happening everywhere. There's just a very small group of people who aren't doing any kind of self-introspection right now, and that's really okay because that kind of work isn't for everybody. And they'll come along as they see that these new changes aren't going to impact the quality of their life greatly. They'll come on board later. I have great optimism about that, but I'm most excited that so many conversations like this are happening. Thank you for doing it.